Our candidates for state representative are the Republican nominee, Erwin Cain, and the Democratic nominee, the incumbent, Mark Homer. Mr. Cain will speak first.
Good evening, folks. Government has grown too big and irresponsible. That's the #1 complaint that I hear when I walk around this district. High unemployment, big government bailouts and takeovers, illegal immigration run amok. But more importantly, elected representatives that blatantly disregard the wishes of the people for personal gain, thinking it's their own seat. I began to hear the cry against the dangers of big government when I first heard Ronald Reagan talk about it when I graduated from Longview High School. He said that big government is not the answer to the problem. Oftentimes big government is the problem. And when I was a business student over in East Texas State in Texarkana, A&M now, I had a chance to interview Phil Grant when he switched to the Republican Party. And he was decrying the dangers of big government. And I've complained about it so much to my lovely wife Hope of 22 years on a front porch swing in Como that she may rerun for this job. I'm kidding, Hope. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged because I'm seeing people want more than ever to see government in its right spot. Efficient, lean, and transparent. I'm seeing people embrace concepts of freedom and free enterprise and personal responsibility like we've not seen in a generation. And people are telling me, and I intend to do these things. They want me to not raise taxes so we can have more jobs for our children to come back to instead of going away to college and never returning. They want me to fix the problems on the border that's draining such massive resources from our state. They want me to fight against these big unfunded federal programs like Obamacare that's going to suck the lifeblood out of our state solvency. They want me to pass voter ID to protect the sanctity of the voting booth. Folks, Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. We have to make sure that the person that we elect as our representative embraces the values that we have. We cannot elect someone who has lost their way. We East Texans have conservative values. We want efficient government. We want a business-friendly atmosphere. We want to not have to be hamstrung by lawsuit abuse. That's the reason I think that I am endorsed by the largest tax watchdog group in the state, Texans for Fiscal Responsibility. And unfortunately, they give my opponent an F rating. That's why the largest business association in the state, Texas Association of Business, endorses me. They give my opponent a failing grade. That's why the largest lawsuit reform group in this state won't support my opponent, but have endorsed me. That's why I have an A rating with the NRA and the Texas State Rifle Association. These people know that I'm conservative, and I will champion our conservative values, and I'll do it for our district, and I would be honored to have your vote. Thank you.
Good evening. First, let me say to Bobby and the Daily Tribune, thank you for doing this forum tonight. It is always good to have an informed electorate out there so everyone can make a good informed decision on who they want to represent them in Austin. My name is Mark Homer, and I am your state representative. It has been a great honor and privilege to represent our communities in the Texas House. I know our area, I share our values, and take them to office with me every day. As your state representative, I work for you. And I've enjoyed a wonderful partnership with Titus County. We've worked hard with TxDOT to try to expand your infrastructure and improve transportation. We've helped to get enterprise funding for Newlywed Foods to create jobs. I've been able to assist in getting Campbell's Soup involved in aiding with your food pantry, which is now part of Titus County Cares. I've supported and worked closely with Northeast Texas Community College to help prepare our children for tomorrow's workplace. And I've been there for our kids, our educators, and our schools every day, every vote, every time. I've also particularly enjoyed a great working relationship with our local officials and with my good friend, the former Lieutenant Governor Bill Ratliff. I think your chamber, Economic Development Corporation, school districts, community college, government, and business leaders will tell you that my office and I have been very responsive at every request. And we'll continue to do just that. We're able to respond because we listen and we care. During the course of this campaign, my opponents suggested that there's some sort of different Mark Homer in Austin, not the one that's with you here tonight. Well, in response, I'd like to offer a few references. I'm proud to have been endorsed for re-election by the National Rifle Association, the Texas State Rifle Association, the Texas Southwest Cattle Raisers, Farm Bureau, your Doctors Association, hospital associations, teachers, law enforcement officers, and Sportsmen's Association, and many others. These are folks who represent thousands of local members in our communities. They are groups who follow my voting record, not campaign rhetoric. As my friend Governor Ratliff will tell you, both legislation and votes can be taken out of context, but not values. I'm the same Mark Homer wherever you find me, the one who works only for you in our area. We have a great working relationship, and I would like to continue that partnership. Thank you.
Mark, you got the first question. Do you support the construction of Marvin Nichols Reservoir?
Anyone that has followed my career, I've only represented Titus County for 8 years, but I've been in this office for 12 years, knows that I've always stood pat and firm against Dallas's intrusion into our area, whether it was air quality, water quality, or just the pure taking of our water in this area. And I came out initially opposed to the Marvin Nichols, but that has grown more over the years that we have studied this case, or this issue. And you now know today that we have a study commission in effect that is studying the issue of the Marvin Nichols to try to prove, is it feasible to build it? Do we need the Marvin Nichols? And if we need it, and I've said it time and time again, I've said it here, if the need is found that there to build Marvin Nichols, I say let's build it. But the first thing that has to happen, and our governor has vetoed it, we passed it in the past, and my opponent, I can't understand, he won't get on board with me on this, is eminent domain needs to be fixed. Before we do anything to allow, whether it's government or any private entity to come in and take someone's land, we need to fix the laws that are there. Over the last 20 years, our Supreme Court has eroded those landowner rights, those property rights, and given them to those public companies and government entities and such. And I want to put those back in place. And only then and until then, when our landowners have the right to get the value out of their land, there's a possibility that I ever want to see that lake built. And then if it's feasible and needed, let's do it. But right now, we've got to get that fixed first.
Thank you.
My understanding is that the Region D Water region has recommended that Marvin Nichols not be included in the future water plans. Brian Lee probably had the best answer for that. If it comes a time when we need the water in this region, then it's going to be important that we have facilities, that we've thought through the issues, and that we have an available footprint for the lake so that we can do things proactively to get the most benefit from a water source like that as we can. But as we speak, as I understand it, it's a non-issue. And I personally want to leave it up to the voters, because the voters are the ones that are going to decide whether we need a lake for not only for economic reasons in our district. As far as a water reclamation lake, again, the water region is saying we don't need it. Now, as far as eminent domain, my big concern is always going to be to make sure that we protect the ownership of property rights in Texas. Property ownership is one of the big three sacred rights in the Declaration of Independence: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness has always been interpreted to mean possession of property. But we don't have real property ownership in Texas, and I want to see the eminent domain rules tightened. Unfortunately, my opponent, although saying that, hasn't really voted that way. Mark has voted for the Trans-Texas Corridor, not only to originally implement it, but also to expand it. There were problems rife in that program with eminent domain. He voted to extend eminent domain powers to regional mobility authorities. He voted to restrict voters' ability to initiate property rollback elections. He voted for more protection against eminent domain by opposing feasibility studies before governments can condemn property. I don't see how you can say you're for tightening eminent domain laws when you're voting to allow eminent domain to process easier. So I can tell you that I'm for strengthening them. I can tell you my opponent's record doesn't support that position.
You need to go first on the next question. Federal health care reform law that was recently passed passes along quite a burden to the states. How do you see this impacting Texas, the Texas budget, and what should be taking place locally?
Well, unfortunately, we have what I perceive to be a massive power grab by the federal government in passing what I call, I think what we all know it to be, Obamacare. So, I think one of the reasons that the President said that this was deficit neutral is because many of the costs were passed on to the state in the form of unfunded mandates. Obamacare is going to cost our state $2.7 billion a year over the next 10 years. That's going to have a wrecking ball effect on our state solvency. We simply, and by the way, where in the Constitution does it give the federal government the authority to either pass health care, require you to buy it, and fine you if you don't? I oppose